Rustling of paper and sounds of a bickering couple can be heard from the second level of a laundromat. Evelyn Wang is huddled over mountains of tax paper, while she goes over her household chores. At first glance, everything seems normal and ordinary. However, things are about to get stranger as the day progresses. It is arranged to be a busy day as Evelyn's demanding and aged father, Gong Gong, just arrived from China. He will start living with them soon and arrangements should be made. Making sure everything is perfect for her overbearing father, Evelyn is too distracted to notice that her husband, Waymond, is trying to get her attention. Waving a piece of paper around, Waymond calmly asks his frantic wife if they could have a serious discussion. Together, they are running a struggling laundromat business. Like all businesses in the United States, their laundromat cannot escape the watchful auditing of the IRS. With their business suspected of tax evasion, Evelyn has been busy going over their shop receipts, making sure everything would be clean for their appointment with the IRS today. The couple is then interrupted by knocking on the door. As Evelyn gets the door, her husband is seen looking down at the paper he is holding. In bold letters, it is written Waymond Wang is seeking a divorce. Downstairs, in the laundromat, Evelyn's rebellious daughter, Joy, is lounging around with her girlfriend, Becky. The mother and daughter's relationship has been rocky as Joy gets more rebellious by dropping out of college, getting tattoos and dating a white girl. Growing up as an Asian with deeply rooted Chinese culture, Evelyn disagrees with most of her daughter's lifestyles, deeming her getting more and more American. The fact is further shown with the fact that Evelyn doesn't speak English very well, whereas Joy barely speaks any Chinese. Letting her daughter and her girlfriend in, Evelyn informs the pair that Becky cannot meet Gong Gong. The reason being her father is too conservative to understand why his granddaughter would be dating a girl, and, worse, from a non-Asian heritage. Speaking with her mother, Joy tries to convince her that Gong Gong would not mind her romantic interest. The pair are too busy arguing that they fail to notice something strange happening in the CCTV. On the screen, Waymond is seen moving at an incredible speed and jumping over their furniture. Entering their back room, he picks up a marker and leaves. Missing the scene completely, when Evelyn looks back at the CCTV, Waymond is acting like his cheerful, goofy self. Suddenly appearing in the laundromat, Gong Gong, who just woke up from his nap, is demanding his breakfast. Seizing an opportunity to introduce her girlfriend, Joy starts talking, only to be interrupted by Evelyn. Preventing her daughter to speak further, she introduces Becky as Joy's good friend. Upset at her mother's interruption, Joy left the laundromat, with Becky in tow. Evelyn, sensing her daughter's dejected expression, goes after her. Initially trying to make the situation better, Evelyn only makes it worse by saying her daughter needs to eat healthier as she is getting fat. Disappointed at her mother's thoughtlessness and her blatant insult, Joy left with Becky, but not without throwing a tearful gaze at her mother. From afar, Evelyn is seen watching the car drive away with a mournful expression. A few hours later, Evelyn, along with Waymond and Gong Gong arrives at the IRS building. Confused at the lavish building, Gong Gong asks the pair what they're going to be doing. Not wanting to worry her father, Evelyn lies and tells him they're trying to expand the laundromat business. Getting on an elevator lift, Waymond suddenly transforms, as if a different personality has completely taken over him. No longer the meek Waymond, he takes off his glasses and springs his umbrella, covering the lift's CCTV. This weird Waymond tells Evelyn that her life's in danger. He proceeds to fit two small devices on Evelyn's ears and runs some programs on a smartphone. A confused and amused Evelyn looks on as her life flashes right in front of her eyes from her strict and unloving father's attitude during her childhood, meeting Waymond and deciding to leave China with him, the couple starting their laundromat business, her daughter's birth and the growing distance between both of them, to everything else that leads up to this moment. Delirious from the experience, Evelyn returns to the present. Completing the mental scan, strange Waymond gives her a piece of paper and tells her to follow the instructions as written. Before putting on his glasses and going back to normal, he warns Evelyn that he will not remember this conversation ever happening, so she should not bother to talk to him about it. After the strange elevator ride, Evelyn sits down for the meeting with an IRS agent named Deirdre. Distracted and losing track of whatever the woman is saying, Evelyn begins to follow the weird instruction that strange Waymond left for her. Pressing the green button on the small device on her ear, Evelyn magically warped herself inside a janitor's closet with strange Waymond. This strange man who looks like Waymond, explains to Evelyn that he is not her husband, Waymond, but he is a Waymond from another life path, and another universe called Alphaverse. Alpha Waymond, as he calls himself, further explains that every life choice she made in her past has created numerous other alternate realities. A great evil has taken root in Alphaverse, and they are the only universe that successfully has established connections to other verses. This evil has begun to spread its chaos to other verses and needs to be stopped soon. That is why, for several years, Alpha Waymond and the others have been trying to find the perfect person to defeat this evil and bring balance back to the world. Suddenly, an evil Deirdre with strange marking on her forehead barges in the janitor's closet and grabs Alpha Waymond's neck. Realizing he does not have much time left, he warns Evelyn not to trust anyone. He begs Evelyn to help them, before Deirdre snaps his neck, effectively killing his clone. Bouncing back to her own universe, normal Deirdre closes their meeting. She informs the family that she is giving them one last chance and by 6 p.m., the receipts should all be delivered to her table. Happily agreeing with her offer, Waymond drags his wife away to go home. While leaving, he notices the divorce paper on the floor. Panicking and worrying that Evelyn might read the content without him properly explaining, he asks Evelyn about the paper. Since it is the same paper that Alpha Waymond wrote his instructions in, Evelyn mistook his question. She asks if he is the same man as the one in the elevator. Confused about the question, Waymond answers her with a yes. Evelyn sees it as a sign and punches Deirdre in the face, causing panic to spread throughout the entire floor. Staring in horror, Waymond corrects her that he was talking about the divorce paper, not the weird instructions written at the back. Finally seeing what he is talking about, Evelyn reads the divorce paper. As the couple begins to fight over their divorce, Waymond is once again taken over by Alpha Waymond. Seeing that the security personnel are going to arrest Evelyn after she assaulted an IRS agent, Alpha Waymond snatches the devices on Evelyn's ears and uses it on himself. The man then takes out a chapstick and chews on it, as the security personnel look at him weirdly. Pressing the green button, Alpha Waymond transforms into a martial art master, and easily defeats all of the security personnel. In the midst of this chaos, Alpha Waymond explains that in the Alphaverse, Alpha Evelyn, who died years ago, had invented verse jump. It is a method to access skills and memories of themselves from other parallel universes. This ability allows him to use the skill of a martial artist version of him in another universe to defeat those security personnel. In order to trigger a verse jump, they need to find a jumping pad by doing strange random things, like what Alpha Waymond did by chewing a chapstick. Taking in the information, Evelyn questions how Alpha Evelyn dies and why the responsibility of stopping this evil being falls into her shoulder. Alpha Waymond clarifies that as Evelyn did not just die, but she was murdered. Her murderer is described as an omniversal being with an unimaginable power, an agent of pure chaos, with no real motive and desire, called Jobu Tupaki. On every universe that he has traveled in, Evelyn always ends up being murdered and he watched every single one of them dies. The Alphaverse mission and Alpha Waymond's mission, in extent, is to return things as how it's supposed to be. The first step towards that mission is to find the right person that can stand up to Jobu Tupaki's chaos. Evil Deirdre eventually finds them and locks Alpha Waymond out. On her own, Evelyn puts her fallen devices back into her ears and successfully does her first verse jumping. Evelyn takes on the skills of herself from a different reality in which she had never left China and was taught Kung Fu by a master. In this universe, as a Kung Fu specialist, she earned multiple successful roles in cinema and became a very celebrated actress in China. With these skills, Evelyn is able to defeat Evil Deirdre with ease. Alpha Waymond comes back after seeing Evil Deirdre is defeated and urges Evelyn to be careful not to get stuck on her other verse's life. He goes on to explain that they were training many young minds to verse jump a few years ago in the Alphaverse. One person, the very same Jobu Tupaki, is shown to be gifted, rising above everyone else's level. Seeing her potential, Alpha Evelyn pushed her beyond her limit, causing her mind to be fractured. Now that her mind experiences every world at the exact same time, she begins to gain too much power and eventually loses her morality. Alpha Waymond states that nobody knows what Jobu Tupaki wants, and they only know that she is looking for Evelyn. As they get out of their hiding spot, a group of police find and handcuff them. Tased by the police, Waymond falls unconscious, leaving Evelyn by herself, once more. Suddenly, Joy, in flashy clothes, with a pig trailing beside her, comes into the IRS building from the elevator. Seeing Joy beating up the policeman with her mind prowess, Evelyn realizes the scary truth, that the Jobu Tupaki, the evil omnipresent being who's threatening the stability of the world, is her own daughter, Joy. Jobu reveals a dark portal, shaped as a bagel, in which she intends to destroy everything within. Just before Evelyn got sucked into the dark hole, a speeding wheelchair crashes into Jobu Tupaki. On the wheelchair is Alpha Gong Gong, who gathers Evelyn and Alpha Waymond to a room with Joy. With Jobu Tupaki already leaving Joy's body, Alpha Gong Gong asks Evelyn to kill Joy to stop her from using Joy's body in the future. Refusing to kill her own daughter, Evelyn fights the old man and all the verse jumpers agents with help from her multiple realities. Using all her verse jumping abilities to become powerful has exhausted Evelyn greatly. Just before taking a swing at Jobu, who just returned, Evelyn's mind fractures, and she falls to the ground, passed out. Meanwhile in the Alpha verse, Jobu Tupaki finds Alpha Wayman with the rest of his team and kills them all for good. Returning to a life path where Evelyn never shows up for the IRS appointment, she once again meets with Jobu. Taking her mother to travel across the multiverses, Jobu clarifies that she never meant to kill Evelyn. Instead, she's just looking for someone who could feel what she feels in the donut. Looking into the deep void of the dark hole, Evelyn finally understands what her daughter means and stops caring about everything altogether. Across the multiverses, as a consequence of her belief, every existing Evelyn starts to act recklessly and very unlike her. Jobu also reveals that the powerful all-consuming bagel is not created to destroy humanity, but to destroy her own life. Frustrated at her mother's inability to understand her, Jobu falls into depression and nihilism, believing that there is no longer a purpose to her life. As Evelyn and Jobu are walking towards the bagel, intending to end their lives together, Wayman's voice can be heard from another life path. In a reality where Evelyn is arrested for tax fraud, her husband is seen begging Deirdre to give them another chance. Not believing that he could convince the IRS agent to change her mind, Evelyn merely scoffs and calls her husband silly for trying. Back to the universe where Evelyn just passed out after exhausting herself by fighting Alpha Gong Gong, Wayman also tries to placate the situation by calmly telling everyone to stop fighting. Turning to Evelyn, Wayman expresses that he, himself, also feels frustrated by whatever is going on in his life, but we would never choose violence as the solution. He goes on to say that being nice is not him being naive, but it is strategic and necessary. Unlike Evelyn, who's a fighter, paying everyone back with kindness is how Wayman fights. Touching Wayman's hand, Evelyn is once again reminded of how the couple falls in love, with Wayman from another universe saying that despite his success, in another life, he would have really liked just doing laundry and taxes with Evelyn. Awakened by his confession, Evelyn's corrupted mind starts to clear out. With this change of heart, across the multiverses, every existing Evelyn starts to act kindly and helps those around her, like Wayman does. Going back to her original verse, Evelyn defeats all her verse-jumping assailants without violence. At the end of the line, Jobu Tupaki stands before the bagel-shaped dark hole, preparing to destroy herself. Wanting to stop her daughter, Evelyn starts walking toward her, only to be stopped by Gong Gong. She now understands that this is the time that she must come clean to her father, and tells him that it does not matter to her anymore if he is proud of the person she becomes. She confesses that in this moment, she finally learns to accept and love herself. Evelyn also admits that she fears Joy would grow up to be as messed up as her, but she turns out to grow up beautifully. After this whole journey, Evelyn has learned to be proud of her daughter, regardless of her failures. Wanting to amend her mistakes, Evelyn grabs a hold of Becky's hand. With a smile on her face, she introduces Becky as Joy's girlfriend to Gong Gong. Moved by her daughter's speech, the old man grabs a hold of Becky's hand and welcomes her. After a tearful and emotional heart-to-heart between the mother and daughter, Jobu Tupaki, or Joy, steps out of the bagel void and hugs Evelyn. Finally starting to understand her daughter, Evelyn vows to always cherish her and embraces all her struggles and failures. What do you think about this movie? Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like and comment to help the channel out. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.